Hello everyone. So in today's lecture, we are going to focus on access control lists. So in this advanced networking course, in the previous week, we actually looked at VLANs, and one of the things that we identified there is how we can segment or separate parts of the network and sort of manage traffic in that manner. So having some control over how the traffic is routed across various devices and networks. So the technique that we will be discussing today is access control lists, and it is a fairly basic way of implementing security in our networks. So with ACL or access control list, what we have is a list basically. So at each router, what we would have is a list, and that list would say certain rules to either permit or deny passing of the packets. So if a packet is coming from a particular device and it needs to go through to another device, so say if it reaches a router and then it has to go to another destination, here the router can make a decision as to whether it wants to permit that packet to go on or it wants to deny that packet from entering or passing through the router. So it is basically a mechanism for filtering traffic that we will do. So whenever a packet comes, we will go and check with this list to see if we can allow that packet to go through our router. So the other thing to remember is these rules we would add or we would have these rules separately for each of the interfaces of the router. So if our router has a number of interfaces connecting to different networks, for example, we will have these rules at each of these interfaces, and also we would have these rules at all the directions at all the interfaces. So incoming and outgoing traffic of all the interfaces, we will have these rules. So where we may want to use this type of packet filtering is, say, there may be a number of things that we can achieve with this type of approach. So we can block certain traffic, say we can block certain traffic originating from certain sources or certain destinations or going to certain destinations. We can block certain types of traffic, say based on certain protocols. Say we can limit certain hosts from using the telnet protocol, or we can limit certain hosts or servers being accessed via telnet. We can limit based on certain types of traffic such as RTMP or certain video kind of traffic. So we can have these rules, or we can even have, say, for example, only known hosts are allowed to contact a particular type of server. So you will say only traffic originating from this subnetwork can access this particular host. So we can have a number of these rules that we can apply to filter these packets. So anything that is identifiable by a packet, like IP address of the source, of the destination, type of the traffic, the protocol, and all these things we can use to identify and permit or deny in those rules. So what we would have with ACL operation is, so we can apply it to sort of any packet that is coming in. So it could be IP packets or IPX packets, whatever that is coming in or going out of the router, we can apply these rules. So when it is incoming packets, we will apply the inbound rules, and when it is outgoing packets, we would apply the outbound ACL rules. So with that, we will have to specify these ACL rules particularly for each of these things. So we'll have to specify say destination, source, protocol, port. So all of these things we can specify particularly and have either deny or permit. So for each of these conditions we can say if the destination address is this, permit, or if the source address is this, permit or deny. If the protocol is this, again permit or deny. If the port number is this, again permit or deny. So we can have these rules based on all these criteria, and we can specify whether it is a permit or deny for each of those situations. And then we can replicate that across all the interfaces that we may have in the router. So for each interface we can go and specify the inbound rules. For each interface we can go and specify the outbound rules, and the same set of parameters or same type of information can be used in all those rules. So with ACL what we basically do is a type of packet filtering. So we have these ACL rules, and based on those rules we will be able to check for each packet. We will be able to compare it with the available rules and see, say, if it matches with any of the statements in the list of rules. If it matches, we'll make a decision based on that. If it is a permit or a deny, we will be able to make a decision based on that. So normally this type of packet filtering will happen at layer 3 or layer 4 of the OSI model. So that is a basic way of doing packet filtering using these access control list rules. So when a packet reaches the interface first, what we would have is, so there we will have to do a matching test. So we will go through the list of rules that we have, and we will see if there is a match to a particular rule. So for each of the statements that are there, we will see whether it is a match. So then if it is a match, then we will go and check whether it is a permit or deny. If it is a permit, we will allow it accordingly, and if it is not a permit, we will go, if it is a deny, we will go and discard the packet. So what we would have is, say if a statement early on has a match and then it is a permit, we would normally allow it at that point. So if you want to deny something, the deny statement should be available early on. So we will have the allow statements later. If deny statements should be early on in this type of packet filtering. Then we will use another concept called wildcard masks when we are creating ACLs or access control lists. So wildcard masks, particularly for IPv4 access control entries, are a way of representing what are the set of addresses that are going to match with a particular access control entry. So wildcard masks are basically an inverse of the subnet mask. So an example would be, we would get an inverse of the subnet mask, and that is what we would use as a wildcard mask. So an example would be, say if our subnet mask is say a particular single IP address is our subnet mask, then our single IP address is normally, say, represented by a particular IP address. So the wildcard mask is a way of matching with that particular IP address. So normally if the subnet mask is, say, 255.255 and so on, we will get an inverse of that to be our wildcard mask. So if we see an example of how we may calculate these wildcard masks, so what we would do is say we would, if this is our subnet mask, we would subtract that from our like a global subnet mask, or like 255.255, and the result that we get would be our wildcard mask. So it is in a way the inverse of subnet masks. So we would use these wildcard masks in place when we are creating our ACL entries, access control list entries. So they will match with the relevant entries based on these wildcard masks. So if our wildcard mask is say 0000, so it is again the inverse of a subnet mask. Say in subnet mask, 255.255 is a single host, whereas in wildcard mask, 00 is a single host and 255 is any host. So it is just again having an inverse of that. So the way that we would use these wildcard masks in our rules, in our access control lists, is basically we would say if you want to permit any packet, say if you want to permit all the packets, we would use that in the form of saying it's a 00 and with the mask of 255. Whereas if you want to specify a single host, we would give the host address and with the mask of 00. So we can use this to specify if we want to allow traffic from all sources, for example. So permit all sources, so any, so that we would use a 00 and in a combination with the wildcard mask. So let's now look at some basic rules about how we go about creating access control lists. So if we have a router and router has a number of interfaces, we will have to create access control lists for each of those interfaces. Then at each of those interfaces, we'll have to create separately for inbound and outbound traffic. Then we would also have to create separately for each protocol. So IPv4 we have to create one separately, and IPv6 we will have to create one separately. So what we would have is say for at each interface of the router we would have an outbound and inbound set of rules, and for those inbound and outbound would be separate for IPv4 and IPv6. And then we will have to duplicate it across all the interfaces that we may have in a particular router. So that is our basics of creating these access control lists. So we will have to have it across all the interfaces of our network. Then with ACLs, we can also identify two types of ACLs. One is called extended ACLs and the other one are called standard ACLs. And based on these, those ACLs will have to be placed at suitable locations. So extended ACLs are basically things that we would place much closer to the source of the traffic, whereas standard ACLs we will place them closer to the destination of the traffic. So what we would have in a standard ACL is the standard ACL would specify what is the source address. So it is only identifying the source address. So because standard ACLs only have the source address and they don't have any destination information, we will have to send them through all the routers that they need to go through. They may have to pass through all the routers, and only towards the destination point we may be able to make the decision. Because say for example, if the standard ACL, the packet that is coming here, it only has the source address specifying the packet is from this PC, and when it reaches this router and we only want to deny it reaching this network, we would not know whether this packet is going to this network or this network at this point. So that decision can only be made towards the destination. So for that reason, standard ACLs will have to be applied there. Whereas with extended ACLs, what we have is extended ACLs have more information. So they have information about the source, the destination, the protocol, port numbers, and so on. So for that reason, we can place extended ACL at the first instance itself. So whenever it reaches the first router, there itself we can have the extended ACL rules, and if it is a deny, it can be denied. So there's no wastage of that packet passing through all the network if we know it needs to be denied at this point itself. So it is because of the limitation of standard ACLs that they don't have any information about the destination. They have to almost reach the destination router before the decision can be made. So the main thing about standard ACLs is it is going to be filtering packets based on, let's say, the source address. So it is going to largely depend on that. So for that reason, it can only be performed at the much closer to the destination. Whereas extended ACL will use these other parameters such as protocols and so on. So for that reason, it can be placed closer to the source of the source router. So with ACLs, we will try to ensure that we are following certain guidelines or best practices. So one is like we will have to base these ACLs based on what is the requirement of the organization, but also in terms of actually creating and managing these rules, one of the best things to do would be, because these rules themselves would not be descriptive enough to identify why a particular rule is created. So what we may have to do is we may have to keep a description of why each of the rules are created as a comment, for example, and then possibly we can say create a set of rules in a text editor and then have them uploaded onto the routers. That way we will be able to verify and have a more detailed comments along with those as well. So, and as with any sort of implementation that we do in routers, we will have to sort of check them, check the rules are properly created before we put them into the network. And one of the main reasons being because ACLs can block traffic, they can significantly impact on the performance of the network. Say it can create significant downtimes, block certain traffic from hosts and so on. So we have to be careful when we are implementing ACLs in routers. So now let's look at how we can go about creating some access control lists. So the first way we would create an access control list is using the what is called a numbered standard ACL. So it is basically we create an access list and we give an identifying number, an access list number. So it can be in the range of these numbers, and then we can specify whether it is a permit or a deny, or we can say it's a remark to specify the detail about a particular access list entry, and then we can specify what is the source and so on. So that is the standard ACL. So standard ACL will only talk about source addresses. We may also specify a source wildcard there. So that is the standard ACL that we can have. So for example, how we may apply to a particular interface is we may have to first go into the router and create the ACL rule first. So we will create an access list. So here access list 1 permit, we specify the source address and apply a wildcard mask there. So here it would permit any traffic from this particular network, because the wildcard mask is this. So then we would have to go into a particular interface, and to that interface we can apply the particular access control list as a outbound rule. We can specify either as an inbound or outbound rule for that particular interface. So first we create the rule itself, the access control list itself with a number of rules. Then we go and into an interface and associate that list as either an outbound rule or an inbound rule. So if you want to say, for example, create a new access list for a particular interface here. So what we may do is say we would use the no access list command to clear whatever the existing ACLs that are there. Then what we want to do is we want to say we want to deny anything from this particular host address. So if the traffic is coming from this host address, we are going to deny that there. So if it is from that particular host, that packet would be denied. So then after that we would have, say, anything else we would want to permit. So we can specify the permit statements after that, because the reason is if we do it in the other way, say if we do a permit and do a deny, if it matches with the permit, it will go with the permit decision. So we have to have, if the narrower deny statement should go first, and then we have the broader permit statement after that. So it will first match with the deny statement and the packet will be denied, and then anything else will be matched with the permit statement. So that's why we will have to go in that order of deny and then permit. And then we can directly go into the interface and associate that as an outbound rule there. So for example, in this example, what we are doing is, again, we are permitting from this particular host, but after that we are denying from that particular host, and then we are permitting from any other host. So we are using the host and any statements here when we are creating these access lists, and then again similarly we are associating with the interface as an inbound rule here. So again, depending on how we are configuring it, we can configure it in this manner. So other than the numbered ACLs, we can also create what is called named standard ACL. So named ACLs, the main thing is we will have a name instead of a number identifying them, and with that what we can do is we can go into configuring the the syntax are only slightly different. Here again we can do a deny host and a permit any, and then we can associate it with the interface with in a similar manner. So the main difference is here we are not going to have the numbers identifying the list, and this can be useful because say we have a number of interfaces, inbound and outbound rules, different protocols and so on. It would be much easier for us if the rules are the access lists are more identifiable by their names. So we can have a much more detailed names to specify what this particular list means. So then we can easily associate them with a particular interface as needed. So what we have here is a set of commands that we can use when we are configuring these, either when we are using numbered ACLs or named ACLs, for example. So these commands are mainly for numbered ACLs, and what we normally do is say we can either create these rules, say for example on a text editor, for example. Then we can say get it from the running configuration, because these will be normally associated with the running configuration. So we will be able to do it like that. Or we can say, for example, say especially when we are modifying and editing these rules, we can do it like that. So we go and copy all the rules that we have, make whatever the changes, and then we go and clear existing rules and add whatever the change rules again newly. So what we do is we list the existing rules, copy them, and then edit them in our text editor externally, and then we can go and change them. Or alternatively, what we can do is we can go and list the entries, and with each entry what we can see is a sequence number for each of the rules. So then we can go into a particular entry and list and individually change or remove an entry using that particular sequence number. So the sequence number in a access control list are basically what is the order these statements are going to be executed or checked upon. So that's what we said, like say it is going to check one after the other through all the set of rules that are available in that access control list. So what we need to have is say if we want to have this permit explicit permit statement at the deny statement at first, so then that should have a sequence number that is lower compared to the other statement. So that's what we may do, that we can go and change that accordingly. So then once we have configured these access control lists for each of those interfaces, we can go into each of the interface and we can check, say, are there any outgoing access list set, are there any inbound access list set. So it will specify if there are any access list set for each of the interfaces. And if it is a numbered list, it will specify as a number. If it is a named list, it will specify it as a name. So then we can also check with the router itself what are all the access lists that are currently set at the router. So what we would have is, in a router we would have a number of access lists that are available. then they will be associated with different interfaces as either inbound or outbound lists. So we can check either what is the inbound and outbound list here, and we can also check what are those lists and what are the specific entries in those lists here using the show access list command. So we would basically use these statistics that are available to identify depending on what is the particular statement, certain things may or may not match with these, and we would want to know whether the statements are configured properly if they are matching as we expect. Say if we expect lower number of matches, we would expect that. If we want higher number of matches, and if things are not consistent with that, then that may indicate that there's some type of misconfiguration there. So now when we consider how ACLs will work along with routing is, so what would happen is, say a frame arrives at a router interface. So there will be first layer 2 address match, and if that doesn't happen, it gets discarded at that point. Then it goes to checking with the ACL or the access control list, and if there are no matches with the access control list, then that goes on. If there are any matches with the access control list, and then it will check with what are the statements there. If there are any denies, it will be again discarded. If there are no denies, it will go on to routing. So only after that point it will go to the routing. So before it reaches the routing decision making with the routing table and all these things, it will first have to be checked with the inbound access control list before it can be permitted into the router. Then actually at the other end, once the routing decisions have been made and when it goes to an outbound interface, at the outbound interface, again the outbound ACL rules will be checked before it is forwarded through the interface to other networks. So because this permit and denies, the access control statements are checked one after the other, and if one is a permit or the deny, that decision is accepted there. So that is one of the reasons why we want to make sure that the order of these entries is configured properly. Say for example, if we do a deny statement like this, so this wildcard mask is going to match with this particular network. So anything here will match. So if we do a deny first, then what would happen is it will deny the packet at that statement, and this permit statement will never be entertained because that permit statement is not going to be checked upon. So what we may have to do is we may have to do the specific permit statement first, and then we can do the network wide denied statement. Whereas say for example in this entry we have these two deny and permit statements. Here we can have this in this order because there are no conflicts between these two entries. This is for a different network and this is for a different network. So we can have that in that particular order. But otherwise, if it is going to match, we have to have the smaller network or the smaller host first, and have the broader network, broader wildcard mask entry later. So then when we think about certain common issues that we can have in standard ACLs is the one of the main things would be we have the rules in the wrong order. So the rules in the wrong order would be a common problem that we may have. And another problem that we may have is, say, if we don't have an explicit permit statement, it will be considered as a deny by default. So what would happen is we would have to have a permit statement that specifies like permit any traffic there, or at least some traffic is permitted there. So if we only have deny statements, then it will be blocking, it will be considered as an implicit block, or it will be blocking any other traffic that is not matching any of the rules. So that is one of the problems that we may have when we are configuring this ACL. Then other problem is when we are applying these rules or access control lists to different interfaces, we have to think about are we applying them in the correct order? So are we applying them to the correct interface, and also are we applying them correctly as whether as an inbound rule or an outbound rule? Because whether we configure it as an in or an out will significantly change the way the network traffic flow is going to happen. So again, while we are configuring, we have to go and check whether we have done the list or included the list in the correct direction as inbound or outbound. Then, for example, another problem that we may encounter is, say, here what we have is for at the router, what we are trying to configure is we are going to permit PC1. So PC1 is the only thing that is permitted to allowed to do SSH. So we are permitting SSH only from PC1. But what we are having is it is permitting the rule that we have here is it is permitting. So when we check the configuration here, it is permitting this 10.1. 10.1 is basically the interface address. It is not the address of the PC. So we may have to change that to the address of the PC for it to be correctly matched. So here we would see, because this was a misconfiguration, any previous attempts would have matched with this deny statement. So that's what we would be able to see with the statistics. So now once we have changed that, after that it is going to match with the correct statement. So what we have covered so far today is basically the basics of ACL operations, access control lists, and also looking at some specifics about standard ACLs in IPv4. So how we can configure these standard ACLs, and how we can specify numbered or named ACL lists, and how we can associate them with our interfaces. Then there's this extended ACL that we have not covered today. We may come to cover at later courses or later parts of the courses. But the main thing to remember is standard ACLs are only about the source address. So what we have with standard ACLs is, here we are only going to be using the source address here. So with that, we may conclude our discussion into ACLs. If you have any questions on things that we have discussed today, please feel free to contact me. And I don't see anyone having any particular questions so far. So we may conclude the lesson for the day and see you next week around same time. Thanks for joining, and bye.